In this lesson, we're going to show you how to create a very basic web page with a title, a header, a link and an image. But that's not all. We're going to create the same page twice using two different web authoring programs. The aim of this lesson is to show you a step-by-step guide to building a basic web page, to learn how easy it actually is to create basic web pages, and to give you a peek inside two different authoring environments, so you can decide which one is best for you. Here's the very basic page we're going to create. Section 1, Dreamweaver. Adobe Dreamweaver, originally Macromedia Dreamweaver, is the premier web design and development tool in the industry. Unfortunately, along with its power comes some complexity, so it can actually take a bit to get used to. Adobe supplies a fully functional 30-day trial that you can download for free from their website. It gives you the ability to do a lot of stuff without having to touch a web page's code. It works on both Mac and Windows. And here's some things you may dislike about Dreamweaver. It is expensive, and it can be overwhelming since it's designed to be very powerful. To get started, open Dreamweaver and select HTML under the Create New menu. This will give you a blank HTML page. Save this page into an appropriate location by going into the File menu and clicking Save. The next step is to give your page a heading and a title. Start by writing delicious apple pie recipes. Now select this text and go into the Properties panel at the bottom of your window and click on the box that says Format None. Select Heading 1 from this menu. Now go to the top of the page design window and click in the title box and give your page a title. This is the text that will appear at the top of your viewer's browser windows and in the search engine rankings. Now you can see why some websites have untitled document in their titles. They forget to do this particular step. Now we're going to insert an image. You will already need to know what image you wish to insert. We've chosen a delicious looking apple pie from Stock Exchange. To insert the image, go to the Insert menu and select Image. Navigate to the location of the image, select it and click Choose. You will then get a dialog asking about alternate text and long description. Although these are optional, you can just click OK to skip them. We highly recommend filling out the alternate text box to describe the image. In this case, we described our image as apple pie. These descriptions are very useful for people who browse the web without images. For example, visually impaired viewers or those on limited bandwidth connections. These descriptions are supposed to describe the image and give the viewer an idea of what they might have been looking at. Once you've finished writing the alternate text, click on OK and your image will appear in the document. If your image appears next to your header instead of under it, just click between the header and the image and press Enter to put the image on the next line. The next step is to provide some sort of basic navigation for your website. Although your website might not have other pages yet, it's still useful to place the navigation in the right place from the outset. Write in the names you think you might need for your other web pages next to one another. In order to provide some separation between them, in this example, we've used the vertical bar symbol. Because you don't yet have pages to point your links at, we'll point your navigation at a dummy location. To do this, select the text for the first link, go into the Properties panel and next to Link, type #. This will turn your text into a link, pointing at nothing. Repeat it for all items that you want to turn into links. To change the link in future, just select the text again and go down to Link and click the folder icon to select the actual page you want to point to. The next step is to start writing some text, the main body of your website. This is the real meat and potatoes, and this is where you'd put your articles or main site content. For now, we've just used some dummy text from a text generator, but you'll probably want to put some real content here. The final thing that we're going to do to this page is change how the text sits around the image. To do this, click on the image, go to the Properties panel, click on the Align Default box and select Left. This will cause the image to sit to the left of your page, and the text and links to wrap around it to the right. You now have the ability to insert and modify images, write text, set heading and create links with Dreamweaver. You can now copy this page to create more pages for your website, insert more images, or insert links into the text of your website. Section 2. Old School. The second method of creating web pages is very different, writing the HTML code directly. Many people find the concept of writing a website in code somewhat daunting. However, this is the traditional method and the method used by most professional web designers and developers, including our own Filarama developers. Thinking in code can take a little to get used to, but it's something you'll need to learn eventually so that you can do the advanced affiliate stuff like inserting AdSense code or setting up your meta tags, so it always pays to learn. Things you may like about going old school. You have complete control over the web page, and you only require a basic text editor. And some stuff you might not like about it? It takes a lot of practice to get used to, and you can't see the outcome of what you're editing as you make the edits. To get started, open the text editor of your choice. Go File, then New, and then save the page in an appropriate location. Make sure you save the file with a .htm or .html or .php extension. The first two are preferred unless you're going to do some extra coding stuff which is beyond this lesson. Alas, that is not all. You need what is called boilerplate code, the very basic code required to have a valid web page. Fortunately, we've written up a basic one for you which you can just copy and paste into your document. From here, you can preview your page at any time by locating it on your computer, either by using Windows Explorer or Finder, depending on your operating system, and double-clicking it to open it in your browser. The next step is to give your page a heading and a title. In between the body tags on your page, write delicious apple pie recipes. Now to make this text into a header, you simply put H1 in front of it and /H1 after it. To set the title of your page, go into the head section and look for the text that says Untitled Document between the title tags. Whatever you write in place of Untitled Document is the text that will appear at the top of your viewer's browser windows and in the search engine rankings. Now we're going to place an image. You will already need to know what image you wish to insert, and you will have to have copied it into the same directory or a nearby directory as your web page. Then to insert your image, you write this code. This inserts the image with the name apple-pie.jpg, which is the same location as your file. Obviously, you'll need to replace this with the name and location of your real file. The alt equals part is the alternative description text for people who browse the web without images, for example, visually impaired viewers, or as we said, those on limited bandwidth connections. These descriptions are supposed to describe the image and give the viewer an idea, as we said before, of what they might have been looking at. The next step is to provide some sort of basic navigation to your website, like we did in Dreamweaver. But again, although your website may not have any pages yet, it's still useful to place the navigation in the right place. Do what we did before, write in the names you think you might need for your other web pages next to one another in order to provide some separation between them. In this example, like before, we've used the vertical bar symbol. Because you don't yet have pages to point your links at, we'll point your navigation at a dummy location, like we did before. But this time, to create a link, you surround it with the A tags. Then point it at a specific location, as in this example right here. As with the Dreamweaver page, hash is just a dummy location, but page.htm and www.example.com are locations of pages and websites you actually want to point to. The bit in between the anchor tags are what is actually shown on the page. For example, the first link that points to hash will show up as a dummy navigation link. The next step is to start writing some text. Again, the main body of your website. Like before, this is the real meat and potatoes, and this is where you'd put your articles and main site content. For now, we've just used some dummy text from a text generator again, but you'll probably want to put some real content here again. Fortunately, there's a small caveat to this. You may have noticed earlier in our links example that the items were each on separate lines. However, if you view them in a web browser, they all showed up as being on the same line. Indeed, it doesn't matter how your HTML is laid out, you must still be very specific about where you place new lines, using P, short for paragraph, and BR, short for line break, tags, as in the following. If you previewed that little code snippet, you'd see this. The final thing we're going to do to this page is change how the text sits around the image. To do this, we need to modify our image tag to look like the following. The new part is the align tag, which can contain the text left or right, or a couple of other options. You now have the ability to insert and modify images, write text, set heading, and create links in code. You can now copy this page to create more pages for your website, insert more images, or insert links into the text of your website. Although we've covered how to create a web page completely in design mode as well as in code, you probably want to use a combination of the two, unless you really take a liking to using code completely. Fortunately, Dreamweaver has the ability to switch between code and design mode, or a dual mode called Split, which shows you both at the same time. You may find this feature to be more useful, especially when starting out with HTML. However, one thing to be aware of is that Dreamweaver-generated code is not generally as clean as code you've written yourself. So it can add a lot of extra tags and code which may not make sense or which you may not have encountered. The best ways to learn are either by looking up the tags on the internet or playing around and editing, deleting the new bits to see what they change, after you've made a backup, of course. In this lesson, we looked at how to create a web page in both Dreamweaver and in code. We looked at adding the following parts: creating a blank page, setting a heading and title, inserting an image, putting in some links, writing your main text, and a little bit of cleanup. Anyway, that's all we've got time for today. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now.